configuration. The incidents have renewed calls for stronger AI safety measures. Joining us right now, the co-authors of the AI Kill Switch Act, Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu is also the co-chair of the Democratic Commission on AI, and Republican Congressman Nathaniel Moran. Good morning to you. Help us understand exactly what this bill, how this bill really works in terms of how the kill switch would work and who would control it.
Well, thank you so much for your question. I'm so honored to do this bill with Representative Moran. And our bill is based on a very common sense, simple principle. When machines go off the rails, humans need to be able to turn them off. And this bill has two main parts. It basically requires the large AI companies to have the capability to turn off their own AI advanced models. And then second, it creates a process with appeal rights for the AI companies when the government orders a slowdown or shutdown of these models, and we give the primary jurisdiction to the Department of Homeland Security.
In terms of, though, who controls the switch, it's the companies that control the switch, or it's the government that controls the switch, or is it both somehow?
Well, it's
go ahead, Nathaniel. Sorry.
As Ted explained, it's really the companies that are in charge of having to have that, and they have the responsibility to put that switch in place, to throttle things back, to actually be able to stop end user access, to actually stop the technology altogether. But it's a mandate by the government to say you've got to have that in place. But there are some instances when the federal government would see a critical incident, an emergency order is necessary, and the government would come in and say, hey, you've got to shut it down under that existing kill switch. If you don't have it, there's some penalties, and if you don't follow that order, then there are greater penalties.
Do you believe that the companies currently have such a switch?
We sure hope so, but we don't know in the future. 3 years later, might they have this switch? I don't know, and that's why Representative Moran and I are doing this bipartisan common sense piece of legislation.
The other question I have for you is, we're talking about frontier models that are controllable. How do you think about open weight models, which effectively mean that, it could be running on my laptop, Joe could have his own, running on his, doing whatever they want. And then the question, of course, is whether we have the chance to turn it off or not.
That is a difficult problem. And with open weight models, because they're open weight, you can't really work with the companies to fix their models, because once they release them on the internet, people just take them and they can change whatever it is they want with those models. So it's a very difficult problem.
But Congressman Lieu, would that be impacted by this bill? I mean, would this impact open weight models or not?
The bill would not impact open weight models as it's currently written.
And would you want to try to rewrite it so that it would constitute all models? I mean, should we be having a much broader conversation about models around the globe? There's some conversation or thought that when President Xi Jinping, for example, comes to the U.S. To meet with the president in September, that maybe there will be a conversation about AI governance on a global scale.
Well,
do you want to take that?
Yeah, there certainly should be that conversation on the international stage. And first, I want to go back and just applaud Representative Lieu for his leadership in this area, because it was a step ahead of, I think, a lot of other members seeing this problem down the road. And it's very necessary. But when you're talking about open source and open weight, you're also talking about the transparency on the private sector market, where other people can see into those models, understand how they work. They can also be part of the alert system as well. This bill that we have together, this AI kill switch bill, certainly is a starting point. There's got to be a broader conversation, but transparency and allowing these companies to continue with the innovation to beat effectively China to AGI or ASI down the road is very important. So we don't want to stifle innovation, but we do want to protect we do want to protect our American citizens.
I guess the reason
Let me just pick up on what Representative Moran said about innovation. Our bill does nothing to stifle innovation, because we don't actually do anything with regards to how these companies build their models. We don't slow down how they build their models. We just say, look, after you completed your model and it turns out that it might have some sort of really bad catastrophic risk or some sort of flaw, then you need to have the ability to shut it down, or the government has the ability to shut it down. Same with the way, let's say, manufacturer creates a car. After the car has been deployed and then the government does crash tests, if there's a problem, well, the manufacturer either does a voluntary recall or the government can order a recall. That's what our bill is based on.
Congressman, I'm not disputing any of this. The things that I'm trying to think of are sort of the second order effects, which is, you could have a frontier model that then interacts with an open weight model, and then interacts with some kind of robotics that are not controlled by this kill switch. And then the question is, does it become relevant? Is the whole thing irrelevant?
So I know that Representative Moran and I are certainly open to looking at the application of this bill to open weight models, but at a minimum, we need to get this bill across the finish line this year because the advanced closed weight models are already doing, as you noted, unauthorized hacks of other companies.
Congressman?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree completely with what Ted just said. What we don't want to do is just say, hey, because there's dangers with the car that's being built, we want to park the car and not let anybody drive. That would be, I think, irresponsible for us to do on a number of levels. But we do have to have these deep conversations and say, here's a starting point. Let's work with industry. Let's make sure that we're not stifling that innovation, but we can make sure that we can at least begin the policy discussion and put something on the floor.
Okay, Congressman, I want to thank you, both of you, again for joining us this morning, and we look forward to following the progress of this bill and so much more.